Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome to the tutorial on writing abstracts. I'm Ruth Barker. I am an Associate Professor in Rehab at James Cook University, and I'll be presenting to you today on how to write an abstract, and it's specifically for health professionals at Cairns and Hinterland Hospital and Health Service and other organisations in the Far North Queensland region in preparation for the Research and Innovation Symposium. You will find that there's a template that accompanies this presentation. Please have that template with you while you go through this presentation. You may like to stop after each section and fill in the template, or otherwise you might like to listen to the whole presentation and then fill in the template. Anyway, let's get going. So first thing I'm going to talk to you about is the musts. So what you must do when you're writing an abstract is tell a good story. So you always want to tell a good story because it's much more interesting. But there's two reasons in this instance with the Research and Innovation Symposium. First of all, you have to tell a good story because you need to ensure that your project is selected for a presentation. So you'll put in your abstract, it'll go under review with various reviewers, and they have to pick your presentation out and say, yes, this one's interesting, we need to include it in the day. So that's the first reason. The second reason why you really need to tell a good story is on the day, people will have the program and they'll have access to your abstract. And they'll need to decide, am I going to go to this presentation or am I going to go to that presentation? Because of the fact that we will have some concurrent sessions. So you need to attract the audience to your presentation on the day. Sometimes also some of the staff at Cairns Hospital can only come for a session and they have to decide what session they're going to come for. If your presentation tells a good story, people are more likely to select your session. So just remember, tell a good story. Tell your story concisely. You've got a limited number of words, but also it's about keeping it tight and so it's clear, there's no fluff, people can understand it quite easily. What you do need to do is relate your story to the symposium themes. So in this instance, it's research excellence in the tropics. So see how you can relate your story to that symposium theme. What's also important is follow the instructions for the abstract. Look at what the word length is, look at the structure that's required and the layout, and make sure that you follow it to the letter. Otherwise, your abstract could be deemed as ineligible before it's even been read. So follow the instructions. And as part of those instructions, you have no references, no abbreviations or acronyms. Now, when we talk about abbreviations, in this instance, it's possible to use, for instance, CHIS, so CHHHS, because you're in a forum where everybody knows what that abbreviation is. But for most other things, I wouldn't use the abbreviation because you want people to understand as best as possible. What that also means is don't use abbreviations or even jargon that belong to your profession, because there are a lot of different professionals that are going to be at the symposium, so you need to be able to appeal to them all, which means avoid the jargon that's specific to your profession. Always spell check and always grammar check. It's very off-putting to pick up an abstract and find that somebody hasn't even bothered to do that. What I always advise as well is ask someone who doesn't know the topic to read your abstract when you've got it ready. That might be a friend or colleague who doesn't work with you, might be a member of your family who can just read it and let you know whether it makes sense or whether they've got questions. So moving on from there, what are the instructions for an abstract? So first, use the abstract template provided. Then be sure to nominate your type of presentation. So you could have a poster, a 10-minute oral or 3-minute lightning. So have a look and make sure you nominate it. It doesn't mean that you'll get that type, but make sure you put in your preference. The word length is 350 words. You don't have to have 350 words, but you can't go over 350 words. Make sure it's in Arial, 11 point, single line spacing and no references. And as I said before, remember it's to target it at an interprofessional audience of doctors, nurses and allied health professionals. The structure, and again this structure is in the template provided, is title, background and rationale, methods, results, evaluation, implications for practice and key message. And if you look at using the template, you'll find this is that within that I'm going to run through of what should be in each of those boxes. So this is what's written on your template, the boxes in your template at the moment, so I'm going to go through each of those. So before I start though, the reason why I put these boxes up and boxes within boxes is the important thing is get the right information in the right boxes first, and then you can wordsmith it after that. So your title. So first of all, there are a number of different ways you can write a title, but this is probably the simplest and it's the most common one used in quantitative research, but can certainly be still used in qual. So we use population, PICO it's called, so population or problem, the intervention or exposure, the comparison, the outcome. Now, all of those words need to go into a statement or question. So first of all, get those words and then sort them into a statement or question that makes sense. So for instance, pink milk stops hiccups faster than white milk in canned school children. Or if you state it as a question, does pink milk stop hiccups faster than white milk in canned school children? So you can see there the populational problem in blue is the canned school children. The intervention or exposure is milk, pink milk and white milk. The comparison is whether one is faster than the other. And the outcome is we're looking at stopping hiccups. So you can see I've written the words down that are associated with or that resemble the P, the I, the C and the O, and then I sort that sentence to make it make sense. So the background and rationale, what's in that? So in the background, what do we know about the topic or the problem or the issue? What's the nature or extent or impact of the problem or issue? And what are you trying to better understand or solve? When it comes to the rationale, it's remembering why you did the project. Why was it worthwhile? So I'll give you another example. Hiccuping occurs at least daily for canned school children aged between 6 and 10 years. So I've stated the problem. This disrupts the concentration at school. That's the impact. While milk is known to stop hiccuping, it is not known whether pink or white milk works faster. So that's what's not known and we need to know. So to improve concentration at school, the aim of this project was to determine whether pink or white milk works faster for canned school children. So you can see I've said what we already know, what's the problem, what we already know, and what are we trying to best understand or solve. And so why was this project worthwhile? Because we want children to concentrate best at school. So again, I've got the answers to those questions and then I've taken those sentences and worked them into a story, basically, into an important story. So what's the method I used? So I saw this was the problem. I decided I had to do something about it and I've decided what's the actual question I'm going to ask. So now, how am I going to answer that question? So you'll talk about what you did, over what time frame, with whom and where. So you're just giving me the facts of matter. Then you'll describe how you found out or measured it. And then you'll describe the procedure followed. So from this explanation, you can ask yourself, could someone accurately repeat what I did? So I'll give you an example again. So what did I do? A randomized controlled trial was conducted with 60 children across 4 schools over a 6-month period. So I've told you what I did, over what time frame, with whom and where. Each child was randomly allocated to receive either pink or or white milk in the event that they began hiccuping. Hiccuping was measured on the times a day and seconds between consuming milk and ceasing hiccuping. Apologies for the hesitation. I'm just having trouble with the picture of myself going over the slide. Let's see if I can move that. No. So then we move on to the results. So what actually happened? So did what you planned to do, did it actually go to plan? And what did I find out? So 57 children completed the trial as 3 children moved schools during the trial period. All children hiccuped at least once and no more than twice a day. So that's telling you what actually happened. Now, what did I find out? The 28 children who had pink milk stopped hiccuping in less than 1 minute. The 29 children who had white milk took between 2 minutes and 10 minutes to stop hiccuping. 1 child who had white milk vomited before stopping hiccuping. And so that's what I found out. So what's that all mean? What does that imply for my practice now? What needs to be done now and what changes are needed? So, can school children respond faster to pink rather than white milk to alleviate hiccuping? So that's what we found out. Pink milk needs to be supplied routinely at Cairns primary schools. Cairns school orders will be updated to ensure pink milk is always available. So what's your key message? You need to choose one thing you want the audience to recall. So, if they go away, what's one thing that you'll remember? So in this case, provide pink milk for Cairns school-aged children who have hiccups. So that's your key message. Provide pink milk for Cairns school-aged children who have hiccups. You'll see that in that message, I haven't just said what we found out. I've said, what's the implication of what we found out? And, it's based on, I asked a question, what's the key answer here? What do we need to do about it? So there's your key message. So when you put it all together, that's what it should look like. You've got your title at the top, and then you've got each of the sections of the template completed with the necessary information and set out in an order that makes sense and makes a good story. The tips. So what I do is I find an abstract similar to your project, to my project, and I plug my topic into it. So if I'm doing a qualitative project where I interviewed people and I might have used a descriptive interpretive methodology to analyze it, then I'll try and find a study that did exactly that and then have a look at how they wrote the abstract. I'd pick someone you'd like to attend in my mind, and then I'd imagine telling them the story. And then that tells me about what pieces of information are relevant and what aren't so relevant. Then after I've done that, I might have 400 words, 300 or whatever. So I have to go through and reduce words. So the first thing I do is remove adverbs and adjectives. So remove all the veries and extremely's, etc. They're not necessary. It's clearer when you don't have them in there. And then the other thing I do is, if I've still got words, I try taking them out. And if I take a word out, does it change the meaning? If not, take it out. If it changes the meaning, have a look and see if I can use one word instead of 3, perhaps. So just to go back to the musts again, to remember. Tell a good story to ensure your project's selected for a presentation by the reviewers. Tell a good story to attract the audience to your presentation on the day. Tell your story concisely. Nobody needs the fluff. Relate your story to symposium themes. And again, that's a requirement of the abstracts. Follow the instructions on word length, structure and layout. No references, no abbreviations or acronyms. Always spell check and grammar check. And ask someone who doesn't know the topic to read your abstract. Here you'll see the abstract template that you will fit in that you will work with either as you go through this presentation, or you can sit down afterwards and go through it. And note the earlier slide that put the prompting questions to each of those sentences. You'll find that in the earlier part of the abstract. Thank you very much, and good luck with your abstract and good luck with your presentation.